Welcome to the show, everybody. Back in the building here with Simon.
Great to be back.
Didn't Jake do a great job?
I thought he did a great job, and it's great to see the other Jake being interviewed and the two of them working well together.
I've got to say, if you haven't seen that podcast yet, go and watch it. You've got to get through 10 minutes worth of like young guys talking yeahs and likes. But once you get through that, it is a super inspirational talk.
I'd agree. It's worth persevering with the initial 5-10 minutes as they settle into it, but there's some great content there.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's absolute gold. It's so inspirational. So today we are talking about Katie Kookaburra's fork.
Yeah.
She put out a really good video. I don't want to pick on her too much. We'll get into that in a second. We got a 1-star review.
Not good.
I think we should talk about that because it's always a trigger for reviewing stuff.
Absolutely.
And finally, the whole stages, giant suing stages like...
Really interesting business case. I mean, I could see that being a Harvard business study case.
Yeah, I think it's going to get written about for years to come. So I want to start with Katie Kookaburra's fork. Now, Katie Kookaburra is another YouTuber. She's quite famous, and she does a lovely YouTube channel. It's very inspirational, very vloggy, very conversational. She's got a great channel. And she put up a video recently where she had a problem with her fork. She used to be sponsored by Ribble. Now she's sponsored by WinSpace.
Yeah.
WinSpace is one of these sort of pop-up Chinese brands. And yeah, a lot of you talk about WinSpace in the comments, etc. So she had this problem where she went on a trip, took her bike out of a bike box, built her bike.
I think she was in Gran Canaria somewhere else.
Yeah, something amazing. She's an experienced rider. She knows how to build a bike, etc. And she hadn't adjusted her headset properly. She just chose to ignore it. And as a result, the compression ring had worn like a big gouge into her fork. And when she took it to the bike shop in Manchester, we actually went there when we went down to go and see Stephen Bartlett speak. Lovely little shop, actually. They said, "Oh, it's the ring of death. It's the ring of death. You know, you're going to die." And they rightly so, because the integrity of the component had been compromised. He said, "Sure, you've got to replace it." And the fork they replaced it with, the WinSpace fork, was £100.
Which, when I first watched this video, I didn't really comprehend and take in all these points. But when I started to think about it afterwards, when we were chatting, first of all, £100 for a fork is phenomenal.
Yeah. So there's 2 points I want to pick up. First of all, this whole ring of death thing. The thing that kind of got to me was that she's an experienced rider, and the most dangerous part of this is actually riding your bike with a loose headset. It's probably more dangerous than a small scratch in your...
That's what I thought. I mean, I thought I could just about see myself riding my bike to get home on that particular ride.
Yeah.
But to ride multiple days with a known problem, I think probably not the best practice.
And like riding a bike with a loose headset is horrible. It's like trying to drive a shopping trolley.
Yeah.
I would have noticed it straight away and done it up to the roadside.
Yeah.
You know, not because of the whole ring of death thing, just because my bike could just be
just the feel of them.
Horrible to ride.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is show what actually happened. So the compression ring is this little thing here. This is a relatively old school way of doing it. A very sharp aluminium compression ring comes on to here. In fact, actually the bearing goes on first. This seats in here and the compression ring sits on here. Now what's actually happened is that this has come loose and this has been wobbling and this has gouged into the carbon. Now, there's a few things that they could have done. This is a relatively cheap headset. I mean, look at that. I mean, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
First of all, if you've got one of these, they corrode really quickly because you've got a very small piece of aluminium next to carbon. As we know, carbon, aluminium, big galvanic corrosion. And hers wasn't even anodized. You know, they really had cheap tower the headset big time. The bike shop in Manchester had a few things they could have done. They could have fitted a better quality headset. I mean, this is a Cane Creek 40. It's not too difficult to get hold of. Significantly better. And if that did come loose, you can see there's a nice soft edge in there and it's all weatherproofed and everything.
Yep.
So I think that could have been a solution like going forward, is to fit a slightly better headset potentially.
So even if you've got a bit of wear effectively as a result of this, you could still fit this with a headset then?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah. I mean, she had a few options. She could have easily sent the fork off to be repaired.
Right.
And the repair probably would have been more sound than buying a new fork, to be fair.
Probably.
Repairs normally come back stronger. And there's plenty of people around here that could have repaired it. Absolutely, it's not short of a few places. If you're worried about all this, most modern headsets now on carbon forks actually have a plastic compression bunk, and it's significantly wider, which is a much, much better way of doing things. We've even kind of done away with the little sharp shims.
Which makes sense. I mean, so what's your advice then? So if I was like wanting to just double check my headset, what's the obvious checks?
My advice is, like, if your headset is loose, your handling of your bike is going to be appalling, and you're more likely to crash your bike because your headset is loose.
Oh, I've had a loose headset once, and I remember the feeling as I was descending at a ridiculous speed. I didn't feel safe at all.
No,
in fact, it was quite horrifying.
So, yeah, my advice is if something doesn't feel right, stop and check everything and do it like roadside, because you're going to have a bigger accident.
But even just with practice before you set off on your ride, just doing a basic M check would highlight this problem to you straight away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are unlucky enough not to have noticed somehow and have this ring of death, yes, and of course you're going to have to do something about it. Get it repaired. There are literally dozens of carbon repair places up and down the country that can repair that. And then ask your mechanic or look for a better quality headset that doesn't have this ridiculously sharp angled piece of aluminium to try and do a better job. So
I guess the other question that came to me is the sustainability of a £100 fork and a carbon fork. So, so first of all, it would have been great if you could have repaired it, because that would have been good good in terms of materials and time. Probably
would have cost 40 quid maybe or something like that, and with a bit of shipping. So they wasn't too far off the price of the 100 quid fork.
Yeah.
100 quid fork. So 20% of that is VAT straight off the bat. So it's an 80 quid fork.
Yeah. And where are these forks typically made?
Windspace is a Chinese brand. So, I mean, that's got to be...
So we assume it's made in China and then shipped.
Yeah.
All for 80 quid.
Yeah.
And somebody's making money on the way.
Someone's making money on the way. Probably the shipping company made more money out of that than anyone else. Right. The UPS guy probably made the most amount of money out of that transaction, because it must have cost at least a tenner to ship a fork from China, at least.
I would think so, yeah.
Even if you got like the best postage deals out there, it's got to be at least that much. And you think about the amount of material that goes into that. The carbon fibre, the resin, etc., is not that expensive. But the time it takes for someone to put that into a mould, take it out of a mould, sand it all down, paint it, polish it, lacquer it, and then ship it, just someone got exploited somewhere.
Yeah, well, the maths don't add up otherwise. I mean, somebody's working pretty much for nothing.
Yeah.
So to make that and to manufacture it, which is not a good thing to support and encourage. So, I mean, I think I'd prefer to go for a repair if it was possible, and if I had the confidence it was going to make it safer, rather than just throw away something and get something else at a low value that's obviously...
It blew my mind, the whole thing really a little bit. A really fascinating video. She did a great job. I'm not criticising Katie.
No, likewise.
I mean, I think like the issue that she highlights.
I applaud her for raising and making people aware of these things, but obviously it opens up a number of the questions which we're happily now debating. And it'd be great to hear what our viewers think of this.
Like, how are we still using these on carbon like this day and age? Like, just use a better headset than that.
So I guess what sort of feedback would we like to hear then? I mean, what sort of questions would we like to get back as a result of highlighting this thing?
I don't know. I don't think... Have you ever come across this ring of death thing?
Well, is it a real phenomenon? Is it a real phenomenon, or is it just invented?
I can't find any record of anyone actually snapping their steerer because of it.
Okay.
And it must be quite concerning when you see it. Of course it is. And if we saw it, we would quite rightly say, look, there is damage to your steerer. I recommend these.
Sure. Yeah.
But I couldn't find any record of anyone actually just snapping at the top of it.
So this is a new term that's just been coined.
It's not new. It's been around since carbon steerers, probably.
Yeah, right.
But on various forums and stuff, so it is like a known thing.
Okay.
But to get so bad that something is going to snap, everything would have to be so loose,
right,
that you've probably fallen off your bike anyway.
Yeah, you're not riding it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And if you do have it, get it repaired. Go and get it repaired, because the repair will come back stronger. Would probably be my advice.
Great.
Right. 1-star review.
Yeah. I mean, very, very depressing when you get a 1-star review compared to what we're used to in terms of, many 5-star type reviews.
Yeah, we've maintained a 4.9 out of 5 average, and it's hard work to do that. That is because every business makes mistakes, and I always think that a business is judged more on how it fixes its mistakes more than...
Well, absolutely. That's the way I've always viewed it. I mean, if you screw up, how do you go about addressing it? Because there will be times where things don't go to plan, and it's then how do you address that?
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this out to our audience.
Yeah.
Peter C. writes, awful experience as a distance customer, chased multiple times to try and get them to send me a full invoice so I could pay for an in-stock frame set plus a few extra items for a build. They were told it was the time critical before I finally gave up. Ordered a more expensive frame set elsewhere, just swallowed the delay. There's only so many times you can try and give someone pounds. great YouTube content, and perhaps great if you live local to the store. But as a distance customer, the experience was utter crud.
Yeah, interesting phrase at the end there. But I guess, if I take a positive from it, he loves great YouTube content. So thank you, Pete, for giving us feedback on that. And
so we know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And Jake spent at least an hour talking him through features of the frame and what sizes to get and what parts are going to be compatible. We spent a lot of time with this guy, and we thought this was building up to a custom build.
Yep.
So we sent invoices. We had actually sent invoices, but invoices quite often go to junk. So
well, it's fair to say we also invest with all the custom builds. We invest a lot of time, which we don't really charge for in terms of consulting and guiding and advising, and that can be a number of hours.
It can be going backwards and forwards, adjusting quotes, etc. It definitely adds up,
because we believe that's in the best interest of the customer and ourselves to get the best outcome, the best deliverable at the end of the day.
At this stage we had sent the invoice, but what we didn't do was follow up with a phone call, because invoices quite often go to junk because they have payment links on them, etc. So some people's junk folders can be quite aggressive and put them into junk. So we should have probably followed up, but we definitely know that this invoice got sent. The other thing is that we are not a retailer. And expectations of that hopefully are set, because we are not set up for retail. We don't have shipping accounts to ship frames backwards and forwards. We don't have, e-commerce systems and POS and stuff like that. It's just an easy click button, pray, something gets shipped.
And, we are a growing business, and we appreciate the fact that we are able to grow and the fact that the interest in the business. However, as part of that growing process, obviously we've got to learn. We're learning. We've got new people, new staff, we've got new processes. And I think, one of the things that you mentioned there, we've addressed by one of our new tools that we've implemented, which will now trigger an SMS message when somebody gets an invoice. So they will now know to look in that junk folder potentially.
That's definitely true of our workshop customers. They'll get more information from us when they have something in the workshop. Yeah. But in terms of just selling frames and stuff and shipping them across the country, we are still, we're not Sigma Sports. We don't have, UPS next day delivery thing set up. We don't have free returns labels. We don't have customer service helplines in case there's something wrong. It's like...
Absolutely. But I think another key point worth calling out here, Paul, is that we're not adverse to receiving feedback. In fact, we encourage and welcome feedback, all types of feedback, whether it's plus, delta feedback, etc. But there's a way to provide feedback in an effective manner that we can then utilize and do something meaningful with.
It's he didn't call. It's difficult, because 1 star would be, oh my God, I've broken someone's frame and I didn't take responsibility for it. I didn't fix it. What have you... this is maybe a 4-star, maybe a 3-star at best. But for 1 star, where do you go from there?
Well, exactly. And I think there are people out there that like to leave 1-star reviews because they feel it's like, I'm getting this off my chest. But I think when you do that, you need to think about the implications it has on the business. And not just the business, it's the people that work within that organization, the team, how it affects them personally. A lot of people take this really personally, and I know our mechanics and team, take this to heart. So if you are somebody out there and you're ever thinking of giving a 1-star review, whether it's our business or any other business, just really think about the implications, and is that the right way to get that grievance off your chest? That's what I would say.
Jake was gutted, because Jake spent so much time with this guy, talking him through things and giving him his part-time and his thing. And when the 1-star review comes through like that, Jake was like, I can't believe it. I gave this guy so much of my time, and this is how he treats me. It's like...
it's not that we're not empathetic. We're empathetic to the frustrations that somebody might be going through, but it's just how you go about expressing those frustrations and getting something proactive done with it. And I think, this is probably not the most effective way. And as you can see, we're kind of passionate about it and angry.
So get down in the comments. What do you think? What would trigger you to make a 1-star review? How bad has something got to be?
Is this justifiable? Is this justifiable or not?
Justifiable.
And hopefully rally behind us. But,
okay, should we move on before I can feel like my blood?
We need to cool it a bit here.
Stages and Giant. This is dead interesting for me, and I wouldn't normally pick up on loads of industry chit chat, because we don't really deal with Stages. Stages is done by Saddleback here in the UK, and there's a Giant shop down the road, and we all criticise talking about Giant, and we do so because Giant is the biggest brand in the world, and it's easy to benchmark across because everybody knows Giant models, etc. This is interesting to me because of, one, the sort of state of the industry in general. 2, Stages also got a fairly big foothold in indoor cycling.
Yep.
And so when Giant are paying quite a lot of interest in this, I don't think it's for their power meter business.
I think there's a bigger picture, bigger play behind this personally. Yeah.
It's because the power meter, Giant have already got a relationship with Stages and the power meter. They've already got IPs and they've recruited 4 of their old staff straight off. Like, right, you come work for us now.
I just think that's a really interesting scenario. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they were originally thinking of buying Stages for about $20 million.
Yeah, back in about a year ago or something. Yeah.
So I'm surmising, this is speculation, but okay, we pay 20 million or we go and hire the top 4 executives that we really want that can make a difference. And then maybe we sue them for unpaid invoices.
Yeah.
Which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's about £11 million worth of unpaid invoices, apparently. Alleged.
And I wonder if Giant were even involved somehow in the downfall. So they could get their hands on it in another way, because a lot of Giant bikes now ship with power meter.
Correct.
Which is own brand Giant.
Is it Pro? What's this? Pro?
It's an own brand power meter, which I think might be made by Stages or something. I don't know exactly. That's an interesting part, but I think the power meter business is tiny compared to all the gyms around the country, the world, that have got a Stages indoor bike in a gym. I think that's where Giant were.
Well, I definitely see it. Yeah, I mean, my speculation is they're seeing an opportunity. Can we pivot to? I mean, we're such a big organization doing what we're doing, but where's the next big play? And is that the next big play? Is that indoor market the play?
Do Giant think that indoor cycling in a post-COVID world is coming back?
Interesting.
Because it definitely suffered. We saw it suffer in our little studio and stuff, and we definitely saw the leisure centre close down. They've got like 24 Stages bikes in our local leisure centre. Scale that up around the world. Like, it's an awful lot of Stages bikes out there in leisure centres and gyms and stuff. So
where do you see this going then? What do you think the bigger play is here then? I mean, what's the speculation then?
And the thing is, the technology for these indoor cycling centres is getting better and better.
Yeah.
When we started looking at it, it was quite poor. We were using a bit of software called Perf Pro, but over the years, it's other companies have come along. There's Spivvy Cycling and things like that, which are all making some very interesting software for indoor cycling. And
for me, it's got to feel like the premise is much like the real thing. I remember when I first, years and years ago, went to a spinning class, and it was so non-cycling. It didn't feel like you're riding a bike, but the bike technology is like the Stages bikes, the Wahoo bikes, etc. Garmin, who Tax do theirs. They are very much like a normal bike, and you feel that you can do a proper training session on them. So I think it's definitely moving more into where you can do a really constructive training session on these types of bikes and get a better experience in those kind of gym environments.
They have power meters built into them and all sorts, and they're built very robust and stuff. So I do wonder whether Giant actually built the Stages bikes. I couldn't find any information about that, but I wouldn't be too surprised if that was the case. So,
well, you build bikes, why wouldn't you build an indoor bike?
But build an indoor bike, and find a new market, especially if they've got the ability to work with software partners and do some stuff like that. I think there's a fairly big opportunity there.
I mean, and obviously, how do you see this fitting with their kind of indoor trainer? I mean, obviously, they've got Psycho Smart and things like that. I mean, how do you maybe see that coming together?
Who knows? Yeah, it's whether they put it all under the Giant brand, and we start seeing Giant branded gyms and Giant branded turbo trainers and stuff like that. It'd be interesting. It's I think there's someone there who's doing some strong strategy, and this has become an opportunity.
Yeah, this isn't an accident. This isn't an accidental situation you found themselves in.
And I feel Stages have been somewhat leveraged.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a strategic move. I mean, you don't hire those top 4 executives in those positions if you're not being strategic.
Yeah.
That's not accidental.
They've got to be on a 10-year plan somewhere, haven't they? So, absolutely. Yeah, let's watch this.
I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm also excited to see what other manufacturers do. If Giant are doing this play, what are the others going to do? What are the Treks of the world going to do? They were trying to be SKUs. Where's the other plays?
Or Wahoo, because pre-COVID, Wahoo actually had a group training software out. When they brought their smart bike out, they actually had a thing that was about to compete with the stuff we were doing, and it all went on hold through COVID because it was all like everyone in their own living rooms. But they've still got essentially some technology lurking in the background, which is group training on smart trainers.
So how do you see it? I mean, obviously Peloton was a brand that was been out there, and I think they've had some financial challenges. I might be misquoting there, but so what's the difference here then? I mean, what's going to differentiate in your opinion?
Good question. Probably bring in some credibility to it, in terms of the cycling market.
Yeah.
I think spinning as a credible cyclist, you wouldn't go there in cycling shorts.
It's the
like that.
pedigree of these organised companies.
What we were doing, which was really, really popular before COVID and before, Zwift and stuff came along. I still feel like the underswell of like, I'm sick of being on my own,
I could definitely
still there.
I mean, I would definitely like that if I could do some of it in my own environment, which I connect with a group virtually, or get together with other people in a physical environment with this technology. Either would work with me. I wouldn't want it one way or the other way. I'd like to be able to choose and
do a hybrid
match.
I think there's something going on there. I'll be surprised if someone's not developing that software. Like,
brilliant. Look forward to it.
So, I'm going to keep my eye on it because I've really missed the Turbo Training Studio, and I'd like it if that sort of vibe came back when the environment was right.
It does give you a good buzz when you're riding with other people. I know we just had that experience out in Mallorca. Riding with other people. It's just fantastic.
And you do that through the winter. Mallorca holiday. Weird tan lines and a sore bum. So we...
Well, I feel proud of my tan lines, actually. It's great to not have white legs anymore.
Just like 800 kilometres in like 7 days. I didn't know we had 2 rainy days. So quite chuffed with that. I took the 795 Blade. You talked me into it.
Yeah, brave move. I mean, I know you were kind of procrastinating. It was should I not? And I'm glad you made the decision to take it because I think you had a great experience there. It'd been good to do some more footage and filming of the 785, but I think you had a great time and got lots of comments from what I hear.
Oh, it was mental, actually. It was the only 795 Blade on the island as far as I could see.
Yeah, I didn't see any others. I was keeping my eyes open.
It's rare to see a look out there in a sea of like Dogmas and S-Works and everything else. It's rare to see a look. The amount of times you got like, nice bike by various people. And some guy in an Audi, this is what's really impressed me, some guy in a big white Audi, blacked out windows, riding down Alcudia at quite a pace, pulls up next to me, winds his window down, hangs out the window. It's like, nice bike. And I'm like, where did you get it from? I'm like, kudos, because it's a matte black bike. Coming up
to spot it. It's that distinctive look, kind of branding on it, though. You kind of spot that from a distance.
Yeah, mine's not the iconic one either. It's just like the straight black one. So I'm like, well done for even spotting that. Good. It was interesting, actually. There's so much people are interested.
It's always interesting when you're riding out there. I mean, it's a great place to ride and feel privileged I can go out there and ride and experience the riding. But what I love is the sense of community when you're out there, that you're just amongst a whole bunch of other cyclists, and cycling is the norm in that environment. And just observing all shapes, sizes, in terms of people riding bikes. And it's just great to see people having fun and riding it. And
actually, it's the first
mix of bikes that are out there and different brands. And
first time being as well, I got recognised a couple of times.
That's true.
That was weird. That's never happened before. No one picked up, said hi, and just came over and quite nicely said, "Hey, thanks for your YouTube channel. I've learnt loads and keep it up." And
that's great to get that kind of feedback.
It was really nice. It was nice to chat to them and see what did they learn and what were they. Because the comment section's great, but like speaking to someone face to face was pretty awesome as well. Just getting that feedback and knowing there's people out there who really appreciate our videos was motivating.
And we did a bit of filming while we were out there as well, didn't we? I mean, lots to come on that later.
So we've got me and like my sort of 795 experience alongside Vic and her time experience, because Vic took her time. So there's a bit of us to and fro in about how they're handled and that sort of thing. I've got a bit of a gripe about the wheels. Creamer wheels are like, they're lovely wheels, but they are quite hard to live with. And if I didn't really want to like made in France and everything else, but like it's hard to go, blanket creamer wheels are the best. They're can't say that, but my God, the Blade was just incredible. It was just solid. I've got a whole video coming about it, me waxing lyrical about like just me riding around like a lunatic on it. And then we did some awesome filming. Actually, we got about 6 people together to do a video I've been wanting to make for years, which is like, how do you actually use a Moxie muscle oxygen sensor in the real world?
Well, that was great because I was fortunate to be part of that. But it was great that we had a very diverse mix of athletes that all had different backgrounds, and we could really see some significant differences, not one being better or worse than the other, but just differences. And understanding why those differences and how do you train based on those differences. So that's me. Like I feel it's such a useful thing. But it's got a learning curve attached to it. So this is our first attempt at breaking that learning curve. Let's see how that goes. So I'll try my best to. And I'm on that journey. I'm on that journey of learning as well. I feel like I learned a lot through that exercise we were doing in terms of, the session we were doing, the tests we were doing, gave me some great insights. It gave me a better understanding of how I could use that technology to support my training.
So watch out for that. And then we've got several videos in the pipeline at the moment, which I'm looking forward to getting out now that we're back. I think that's it.
That's all from me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for watching again, everyone. Again, always get your comments down below. I'm always really, really keen to read them, get your feedback, the whole K to Kookaburra fork, the 1-star review. What do you think Giant's doing with stages? Get down there, get your 2 cents down in the comments, and we want to read about it.
Absolutely.
Till next time, take it easy.
Thank you.